Hey y'all, welcome to Large Family Diabetic Cooking, and I'm Stephanie. Today we're going to be cooking down some chicken, and I have some carrots, little baby carrots washed. I have some celery that I'm going to cut the ends off, and they've been washed too. I'm going to add a couple onions, and I'm going to add some chicken bouillon to the water, and we're going to get it on and get it started boiling. And then I wanted to have a conversation with you guys today about diabetes, about type 1 versus type 2, and maybe some things you didn't know, maybe some things you do know, and what to... And I'll talk about some of the things that I'm going through as being a type 2 diabetic. And my daughter's ex-boyfriend, who is also a diabetic. Her ex-fiance, sorry. I don't know how else to explain it except he is not taking his medication at all. He refuses to take his medication at all. As far as he's concerned, he's not a diabetic. He thinks that they misdiagnosed him. So, there's that too. So, I'm going to try to explain to him that it was not a misdiagnosis, and it all has to do with what he's eating, how he's eating it, when he's eating it, not exercising, gorging on sweets, things like that. So I put the carrots in the water, so I'm going to get the celery together real quick. Turn you over this way so you can see what I'm doing. Celery. Here's my coffee. I got my coffee together with my In the Kitchen with David coffee mug. I am a huge QVC fan, and of David Venable. So we're gonna I don't know why I'm doing this. I have a cutting board and I forgot to pull it out. All right, let's get these. Whoops. In the water. And then I'm going to cut up these two onions and cut them in half. There we go. There we go. Put this in. And I still didn't pull out. Wow. Okay. I'm been in rare form today. Alright, let's get these in the water. Put this in the sink. Garbage, and then clean this off. myself a couple of plastic gloves here. Take a drink of my coffee. Oh my goodness, that tastes good. All right, and then I'm going to get some Clorox wipes out, and I'm going to wipe down my counter. Turn that on. Let me wipe down this counter. This down. Okay. All right, wipe it down with a paper towel. Well, there's 0. Okay. Alright, now I need a lid for this pot. Oops. Making an awful lot of noise. And then I'm going to get out my chicken bouillon. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit in my water. I don't want to put too much in. Put the lid on, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. I'm going to put it on medium-high to get it started. If I need to add more chicken bouillon, I will, but I don't think I need to. I might have to, a little bit. Once it comes to a boil, the chicken will boil for 45 minutes to an hour. All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was the difference between, was the difference between a type 1 diabetic and a type 2 diabetic. And one of the things I found out is that it is an autoimmune disease, which I did not know. With a type 1 diabetic, their bodies do not produce insulin at all. And they're usually diagnosed either at birth, or as kids, they're diagnosed as kids or as young adults. And the only way to treat them is with insulin. And they're also more prone to complications at an early age. And the older they get, the more aggressive their diabetes becomes. With type 2 diabetes, with people who have type 2 diabetes, I am a type 2 diabetic. My body does not respond to insulin like it should. They have, doctors and them have no idea what causes it, but what they're saying causes it is, oh, and you're diagnosed as an adult, and what they're saying is to treat it is to change your diet, the way you eat, get out and exercise, and medication, and sometimes insulin. Now, I had told you before in a previous video, when I first became a diabetic, I went to a doctor. I don't remember the doctor's name because it was years ago. He put me on something called Actos, and he said, "Here, take this." Okay. How about you explain to me why I'm taking this and what it's for? And then he proceeded to tell me that I was a type 2 diabetic, and this is what I needed to take to control my sugar. Well, the Actos was making me seriously sick. It was messing with my head, making me feel like I didn't feel right on the Actos. I was suicidal. Never been suicidal before, ever. And that was just, it was just, the medication was not good for me. I was jittery all the time. I was moody all the time. And then I had changed doctors, and they told me that Actos was not the right type of medication for me. Plus, I told them what all was going on, and they said they wanted me to stop that right away. So they took me off of that, and then they put me on something called Metformin. They put me on Metformin, and as you know, there's a lot of stuff about Metformin that they're saying that is not good for anybody who is on that has diabetes. They're saying that Metformin is making diabetes worse. For me, Metformin did not work. I could not get my sugar under control at all, and I ended up in the hospital. They were able to control my diabetes with insulin better. They saw that the Metformin was not working at all for me, at all. So they put me on insulin, and I have been on insulin for probably about 7 years now. So I have been on insulin for that long because it's the only thing that is controlling my sugar. I'm not telling you not to not be on Metformin. Yes, there is some speculation out there, and people, or there lawsuits and stuff like that about the Metformin, but everybody's body is different. Everybody's body reacts differently. Everybody's body can take certain medications where other people cannot take that type of medication. I'm not saying that you should get off Metformin or anything like that. What I'm telling you to do is you need to talk to your PCP. If your medication is not working for you, you need to become an advocate for yourself. You need to speak up and say, this medication is not working for me, or this medication is making me feel this way. Another thing I've also noticed is that doctors have a habit of wanting to, if you're having an adverse reaction, they want to put you on another medication that will take care of the adverse reaction. And then if you have an adverse reaction to that, then they want to put you on another medication that will take care of that adverse reaction. No, what you need to do is you need to say, look, I'm not going to be your guinea pig. What you're going to do and what I need you to do, because I would feel comfortable myself with my body, not putting all these different types of medications in me. If this medication does not work, I would like you to try a different medication. And sometimes you have to be careful with that, because sometimes they want to put you on new medications that have no track record. and they have clinical trials that show, you know, what side effects and stuff like that. But what you want to do is you want to know who's actually been on the medication, what type of adverse reactions they had, rare, what type of allergy reactions did they have to the medication, does the medication work as well as they say they do. You know, there's a lot of things that you need to ask and put out there. Just don't. I understand the doctor has a medical degree and stuff like that, and yeah, you should listen to them. But if you're uncomfortable, you need to speak up and tell your doctor, look, I'm uncomfortable. Can we talk about this a little bit more? Is there, you know, if you have any questions, write your questions down or bring them up and write them down and take them with you into the office, especially if they want to put you on a new medication. Do your research. Also, type 2 diabetes is also genetic, which I did not know. I do know that it runs on my mom's side of the family, and God bless my dad's soul, my dad's side of the family. He was a pre-diabetic when he passed away. He was controlling it with his diet and exercise. I don't know if they had him on medication or anything like that, because my dad passed away from COVID in 2020, February of 2020. So, and it's hard because there's a whole lot that has to go, that went into the reason why he passed away. And it was not even his fault. So, also it says here that with type 1 and type 2 diabetes, it is how, well, no, with type 2 diabetes, the disease affects how your body detects sugar and how it regulates the sugar. Because I know my doctor has me testing 5 times a day, and my sugar is not bad at all. Is not bad. My sugar is in the 120s, but I still try to keep it that way. And I guess he wants me to make sure it stays that way. I don't know what my A1C is. I'm due for another. I'm due for one in March, so I have a doctor's appointment in March for that. Now my daughter, she has something called hypoglycemia, and that's where your sugar is low. And now with diabetics, when our sugar is low, we start sweating, we get heart palpitations, and we get shaky. It's the same thing with a hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia, they get the same thing. They get they can get some with the low blood sugar. It means that they don't have enough glucose, and it can become life-threatening, very life-threatening, if it gets too low. There was one time where my daughter didn't even tell me that her sugar had dropped to 45. I was extremely angry with her. I said, you need to let me know. Also with hypoglycemia, you can get anxiety, headaches, and it can produce into seizures if it gets really, really bad. And it can lead to like mild confusion, neurological issues. My daughter sees a neurologist because she has seizures, but it is not due to hypoglycemia. My daughter has something called neurofibromatosis, and she was diagnosed at 6 weeks when I took her for her 6 weeks checkup. She has these little dark spots on her skin. They're not all over her skin. They're only in certain places. Like some are on her arms, some are on her legs, some are on her back. The doctor told me when she was diagnosed with it that she would get darker and nothing would happen at all, or she would start developing symptoms. And some of the symptoms that she's having is she has a lot of joint pain, lower back pain. She does have seizures. She's on medication for that. And a couple years ago, her legs decided that they just didn't want to work. She went to stand up and no feeling. She was in the hospital for 2 to 3 days, and then they sent her home. And what I don't understand, they found out it had something to do with her back, but the neurofibromatosis didn't help because it is a neurological disease. And I don't know how she ended up with it. Her father has diabetes, or not diabetes, wow. Her father has seizures. So we think it may have been passed on through him, because it does not run on my side of the family at all, or my dad's side of the family. No seizures, no nothing run in our side of the family. Only on her father's side of the family. My daughter's father's side of the family. With hypoglycemia, you will also get palpitations. It's the same thing as what a diabetic goes through when our sugar is low. We'll get heart palpitations, we'll get nausea, sweating, shaking, and sometimes it can lead to vomiting if it gets really bad. Now, if you're on a beta blocker, if you have hypoglycemia, you have to be careful. You still got to keep an eye on your sugar, because the beta blocker, you get no palpitations at all. So you have to constantly check your sugar to make sure your sugar is not too low. There are some medications that you have to watch out for. And one of them is diuretic, a water pill. I am on a water pill, 50 milligrams, 25 in the morning and 25 at night. You have to keep an eye on it, especially if it's a thiazide. I am on hydrochlorothiazide, and it can raise your blood sugar. So you have to be careful that it does not raise your blood sugar too high. But that's some of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, that what my daughter is going through, what I am going through, what I went through. Now, getting back to me, when I was on the metformin and they switched me to insulin, I had to have a conversation with my doctor, because I had never been to a nutritionist. And I'm like, I've been a diabetic for I don't know how many years. The doctor told me to take this medication. That was it. Just said, you're a type 2 diabetic, take this. This will keep your sugar in check. I didn't get a meter. I didn't get anything to check my sugar to make sure that the medication was working. None of that. So when I went to this new doctor, I got a meter. I got strips. I got insulin. They sent me to a nutritionist so they could tell me what I could eat and what I couldn't eat. Also, I didn't know that I had found out that bananas are not good for diabetics. they're in one banana. Let me show you. One banana. My grandson likes them. I'm waiting for them to ripen because he wants a banana badly. But in one banana there is 6 teaspoons of sugar. Now I know when I've been in the hospital and a diabetic, I would get a banana with every meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. I would get a banana. Now, 6 teaspoons of sugar in a banana. 6 times 3, that's 18 teaspoons of sugar. So, are we allowed to have it or are we not allowed to have it? And if we're not allowed to have it, then they need to, people who are diabetics, these need to be removed from their trays. Another thing is melons. You cannot have melon, any type of melon. Watermelon, cantaloupe, honeydew, no type of melon whatsoever. Because the sugar content is high. Very, very high. Let me turn, I think I need to turn this up a little bit more to get this to come to a boil. It's getting there. It's getting there. So, yeah, you cannot have any melons whatsoever. But when you're grocery shopping, for anybody who is a diabetic, type 1 or type 2, they tell you that strawberries are good for diabetics, as well as blueberries. Nuts are good for diabetics. Peanut butter is good for diabetics. Milk is good for diabetics. There's something in the peanut butter. I don't know what it is or what it does, but it keeps your sugar in check. And I don't know, like it, I don't know. I've noticed it for me, that that if I eat peanut butter sometime during the day, I'm usually fine through the whole entire day. If I eat it at lunchtime, I'm good the rest of the day. Also, cinnamon is also supposed to be good for diabetes too. It also helps. There's something in it. I'll have to do more research on it, but I think someone said that it helps bring down keep your sugar regulated. There's something in the cinnamon. So I want to do some more research on that. One of the things I want to do is I have gastroparesis and gastroenteritis. I have both. Yeah. It's not good. So I want to check into this stuff called, I think it's called kombucha. And it's supposed to be for gut health. So I want to, wow, I really snorted. I want to do some checking into that. I want to find out what it does for the gut health. For like your pH level and all of that. There's not much I know about it. I can tell you one thing. There is a difference in the way you're taken care of according to your healthcare system. If you're low income, I've noticed that, and I've seen it, that certain people get treated certain ways because of the type of health care that they have. And I don't think that's fair. I think everybody should be treated the same. Everybody should be treated with respect. So, there's that. So, I wanted to talk to you about this and let you know, what I'd learned, what I'd found out, what I was going through as a diabetic. But my main thing is be an advocate. If you're not comfortable with something, oh, hold on a second. I need to turn my fan on. If you're not comfortable with something, you need to talk to your doctor. If your doctor's not willing to listen to you, you get a second opinion. Or you change doctors. If this is a doctor that you've been with for a long time, and they know you, and they know you well enough, and they will sit and listen to you, take advantage of it. Listen, it's very rare you get a doctor that will sit and listen to you. You tell them that your concerns, and they're on it. There are a couple of doctors where I go to who you tell them what's going on, and their response is, no, that's not what's happening to you. This is what's happening to you. But it's your body, and you know what's going on, and a doctor's going to tell you, no, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. This is what's happening. Not cool. So, if you have any doctors like that that don't want to listen to you, like I said, you need to advocate for yourself, and you need to go see another doctor. You need to get a second opinion. If that doctor doesn't listen to you, then you move on to the next doctor. You get a third opinion. If that doctor doesn't listen to you, get a fourth, get a fifth, get a sixth. Do what you got to do, but you need to advocate for yourself. If you're not comfortable with a certain medication, speak up. Speak up and say something. Do not let these doctors use you as a guinea pig by putting you on medications that you're not comfortable with, or you know nothing about, or you have never even heard of. Some of the medications you also have to be careful with taking herbal supplements, because with diabetes medications and stuff like that, and high blood pressure medications and stuff, it can stop your insulin from working. It could stop the medication from working. It could stop your high blood pressure medication from working. It can alter these different types of herbs and things like that can alter your medication. So, and a lot of people are against holistic medication for some reason. And I have a cousin whose daughter is a diabetic. I'm not sure if she's using a holistic medication on her or not. I think she is. And she is controlling her sugar very well with it. So, you need to talk to your doctor, and if the holistic medication is not working for you the way the medication that you were on before was working for you, then you can stop the holistic medication and go back to the doctor that had you on the medication that was working for you. Or you could talk to your holistic doctor and be like, hey, this is the medication I was on, and this was working for me better than what you have me on. Can I go back to this? Can you put me on this? It doesn't hurt to ask the holistic doctor if he would be willing to do that, or she would be willing to do that. If they say no, then you know that you can go back to your old doctor, and or whoever you're comfortable with, or if your family has a doctor that they've been with for a long time and you want to go to them, go right ahead. You do what you need to do for you. You need to advocate for yourself. So, with all that said, I will let you guys go, and when this chicken is done, I will be putting up another video that will go up tomorrow, and it is going to show how we make homemade cream of mushroom soup and homemade cream of chicken soup. And I'm going to shred up the chicken and get it ready to go in the freezer as soon as it's done and it cools. I'm not trying to burn my fingers. I'm good. We're going to get that shredded up and in the freezer, because there's some freezer meals that I want to put together, that we're going to put together. I hope this information was eye-opening and helpful. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you to change doctors. I'm not telling you to get off your medication. I'm not telling you any of that. I'm telling you to talk to your PCP. Advocate for yourself. If they're not willing to listen, get a second opinion. Get a third, get a fourth, get a fifth. Do what you need to do, but you need to advocate for yourself. Okay. Well, I'm Stephanie Harriet. I'm with Large Family Diabetic Cooking. I am so glad you guys stepped in. And I hope this, like I said, I hope this information was informative for you. And I'll see you in a little bit. Later.